Oh, there you go. See, when I was sharing my screen there, like, all I seen was a black screen, so I don't even know if people could see that. But if you could, then yeah, that was Sensum's pretty arty-farty intro for this new thing we're going to be doing until Scots Armour makes a return to the scene. But did people see that? I don't know if they did or not.
It was definitely playing, mate.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I had a bit of a beam of face today because it was just like a black screen every single time something goes wrong on my end. Oh, but hi. So, how's it going, Mr. Saxon?
It's going okay, mate. And in special preparedness for this stream, I've gone cultural
You've gone
because
cultural.
I've actually got myself a nice American IPA on the go and a handful of Bombay mix. So there you go.
Oh, fucking hell. I'm absolutely choking for a beer. Like, I haven't had one in days, but that's got to be demented. It's just, especially on a Saturday night, not having any beer on a Saturday night. Oh, God. And I certainly needed it after the weekend I've had. No idea. I mean, I know some people have watched some of the stuff that I've been putting out the last few days, but this SMP conference, I think I've lost brain cells. I think I've lost IQ points. And I genuinely think that there's a case to be made that I'm now retarded. In all honesty, it's been difficult. But you've got to do what you've got to do. And the reason that I always do that, I go through everything Scottish government related, is because I don't do it for my enjoyment, because there's no enjoyment. I don't do it for hits, like, oh, let's find some belters and I can get some views on my channel. No, I do it because you always end up finding some of the things that these people say, like atrocious policies or just atrocious rhetoric. And this conference has been no different. You said you've not really seen much of what I've been uploading. Well, you're in for a treat. Yeah, you really are in for a treat. But before
I better fucking not.
but before I go, I mean, obviously you didn't see what I've been posting, so I'm assuming you had a decent weekend, SMP free, presumably.
You what, mate?
No, I'm sorry, you might not. I said, I'm assuming since you've not really seen anything that's been uploaded, you must have had a decent wee weekend away from the shit and the skullduggery.
Yeah, well, it's been sort of a mixture of just sort of semi-vegging out, but also popping out here and there, visiting folk. So it's been a mixed bag, and like I say, Friday night was on with Bonnie Lad, and then on Saturday I didn't get in till literally, I think the stream started at 8, and I literally didn't get in till about 10 to 8. So I hadn't seen anything all day yesterday, and then today, by the time I'd done the dinner and everything, and well, I had a dinner and then started watching the film, and then like literally just zonked out. I lost a couple of hours on the settee show, so to speak.
Well, I'm about to rock your world, Mr. Sensum.
Oh, great.
Because I think probably the best place to start would be where we left off last week. And I know it's not what we finished the stream on last week, but there's been more developments from, remember the story we were speaking about at the start of the stream with the critical race theorists, etc.
Oh, yes. The racical crit theory.
Yeah. Oh, there's been some developments. I just need to remove this thing from the studio. There we go. So I'm going to get the first of many clips for the evening. I hope everybody's got the popcorn, because the Rainbow Unicorn delegates have really, really been sugarcoating Scotland with extra soybeans this week. It's just not even funny. I'm at a point now where I'm honestly in the verge of saying I'm ashamed to be Scottish, and I never thought I would get to that point. And I'm not even saying that, as a means to sound like hyperbolic in nature. It's just, this is just not my country anymore. It's a fucking disgrace what's happening here. I would rather live in China. I mean, it's starting to feel like that anyway. But where shall we go? So I think, well, there's no point in me getting Nicola Sturgeon, obviously, just to give a bit of summarization. Nicola Sturgeon was asked in Parliament just days after that stream we did about the evil racists, the people calling it the critical race theorists, and of course, the school photo thing. So Sturgeon, she responds and she says that it's the vile racists, evil racists, but it goes a step further at the S&P conference. So this will be the first video that I'm going to play a bit of here. And there's a section I can skip past because it's about apparently anti-Chinese graffiti in a university. I don't know anything about that. So I will play a little bit of this and we will continue on from there. All right, let me mute and share my screen as well. I can't even remember how what the fuck? The thing's not there to... That's bizarre. I've never had this happen before. I changed my... It says it's normally a bit at the bottom to show you... Wait, maybe it's present now. There we go. I had a brain fart. Lack of sleep. Okay, we will move on from there. Okay, right. I'm going to mute up.
That moves us on to the second of our topical resolutions today, and this one is entitled Racism in Education. The resolution will be moved by CoCab Stewart, MSP, and seconded by Councillor Christina Cannon. So welcome to CoCab.
Thank you, convener, and thank you, conference. I take no pleasure in having to bring this as a topical motion, but after the last few weeks of education and our young people and all the staff and parents that have been subjected to despicable and absolutely disgraceful racist behaviour and abuse, I had no choice. So I am grateful for the opportunity to bring this. Over the past few weeks, we have seen 3 separate incidents that I want to talk about today. So the first one was actually at the Scottish Learning Festival. So the Scottish Government, being progressive, launching a national discussion on education and all its values of inclusive and diversity. As part of that, there were teachers that presented materials for our teachers to use, looking at making the curriculum more anti-racist and looking at decolonisation of the curriculum. So the very materials that are hopefully going to be used to address these issues were then used as a reason for people to actually come out online and actually racially abuse the teachers that were presenting these materials. So our profession was under threat.
So, there is more, obviously, but she's talking about the critical race theorists, it's just nonsense. Nothing that was said to these people at any point, including the little conversation that we had at the start of the last Sunday stream, any of the videos that I've made up until this point about it, any of the tweets that I've seen on Twitter, some of which I've put on my Telegram, some of which I've incorporated into some of the videos that I've made. Nothing has been racist. Nothing at all. But more importantly, more fundamentally, the way she says up there, they were just simply anti-racist teachers, at a learning festival. They're critical race theorists, right? They provided materials that are predicated on the ideology of critical race theory. And this is how these people operate. So they're trying to deflect any attention, any criticism, any critique by saying that they're just simply anti-racist. Anybody that has the audacity and the temerity to call them out in any capacity, whether that's pretty, lightly or if they go in full force, etc., they're just racist, And then she finishes that little bit off there by saying that the very materials, that we put forth to promote anti-racism and diversity and inclusion and wet wipery, the very materials that were used against us. I fucking wonder why, because it's critical race theory. These people know what they're doing. It drives me demented, really, but I don't know if you've got anything to interject to that.
Well, it's all bollocks anyway, this racical crit theory, because it's well, basically when they, you know, it's all code words, isn't it? When they talk about inclusive, that basically means no white people, please. That's exactly what it means. Do you know what I mean? And when they talk about, you know, it's all got to be through the lens of race, and, you know, oh, you're all bad, or, you know, everything sort of indigenous is great and everything indigenous is bad. The people, the history, the culture, the heritage. Yeah, just take whatever facet of our existence that you like, and if it can be shat on from a high hill by these fuckers who are bloody lucky to be in this country, put it that way, you know, and if it's so shit, fuck off. You know, that's my default reaction, you know. They can't have it both ways, mate. And I say this all the time, right? The whole notion of critical race theory is that basically it's to try and warp the minds of young white kids like they've got to be sorry for something. They've got to be sorry for nothing. They've got nothing to be sorry for. And, you know, they're talking about, you know, oh, well, slavery. Yeah, well, first of all, we ended it. But second of all, there's no one person in this country at this point in time who is here because of slavery. Not one of them. They're all here because of choice. So, you know, like I say, it's either we, like I say this analogy all the time, either we are the worst country in the world to live in other words, we are North Korea. Yeah, we are as nasty and as horrible and as authoritarian and rejection of all foreigners like North Korea. Or, you know, we're the complete opposite of that. We're tolerant, kind, and, you know, welcoming, much to our great bloody, you know, chagrin now. And which is it then? Well, because the world beats a path to our door, you have to think it's the latter. So critical race theory, if everything seen through that particular lens was true or even remotely accurate, nobody would want to come here. You know, they would be in fear of their lives. Whereas the actual opposite is true. They come here, they get into our institutions and systems, and then use that power, that modicum of power, to do everything in their power to basically shit all over us. That's basically, that literally is biting the hand that feeds you, in my opinion. So, you know, I don't care what they say about, you know, critical race theory is just a complete and utter made up piece of crap just to make our own, particularly our young people, feel bad about themselves, and they've got nothing to feel bad for.
No, and that's on top. First of all, can I just address it in the chat, like, this shit about me having a girly voice? Like, I'm not having that. Like, I've never heard that one before. Come on, the fuck. Fucking hell. But the worst part about it is I've got a cold now. So, but anyway, on top of that, though, it's just the total gaslighting. Because, as I say, before this took place at the conference, in fact, I might even play it after this. It's just the total hyperbole, and it's abuse. All these words, like, it's abuse and it's racist and you're vile, etc., etc. And the irony, as you made reference to there, like, you know, the irony of it is all their ideology that they're sort of trying to permeate across society is in fact fucking racist. If you want to go down that route against whites, but I can't say that though, you know, because it's anti-racist. You know, they've got that wee code word going to the moon, and that's right. That is right. My accent is pretty damn epic. I'm on the Highlanders. So I'll mute again and I'll play a bit more of this bit before we move on to the next bit. And there's a lot of bits, by the way, because if you don't, there's a running theme with the S&P. A lot of women. No offence to any lassies watching, but there is a serious women problem going on here, and gay men, but women.
Now, I have to acknowledge that the fact that the GTC and Education Scotland, EIS, there have been many organisations that have come out and called it out. And I'm asking conference to also call out this kind of ridiculous and despicable behaviour. The other thing that's happened, which we cannot get away from, is as a constituency MSP, we get to go to various schools, visit the children, see the work that they're doing, and they get a chance to share all that amazing work. So Nicola Sturgeon, not only being our First Minister, but also being a constituency MSP in the most diverse constituency in Scotland, and Glasgow Kelvin is the third one. Having a picture taken with the wonderful, joyful children, our clever children who are happy playing and learning together. Who on earth could twist that into something horrific and horrible and try to divide us? They will not succeed. The other unfortunate incident
So she goes on to talk about the Chinese thing, but I'll skip it in a second. But I mentioned this in the video that I made earlier on, and I've mentioned it on my Telegram as well. Like, it seems to fly over their head, like it really does. And there is an element of it being deliberate for some, but some of them are just that thick. It's very difficult to tell, really. But she says there that Nicola Sturgeon represents the most quote-unquote diverse constituency in Scotland. She then, she says that with a smile on her face, it's about something to be proud of. She then says that she represents the third most diverse, quote diverse, so inclusive, so progressive, diverse constituency in Scotland, right? She says that before then going on to talk about the photo that the evil racists were saying nasty things about. No, they weren't. What these people on Twitter were doing was calling into question the demography of the photograph, because it's supposed to be in Scotland and it's pretty damn questionable that every single child within the photo is BAME, bar one little white boy. We don't even know where that white boy comes from. For all we know, he's Polish. We don't know if he's actually Scottish or British or whatever. That's here nor there. So in her attempts to start off her her lambasting and haranguing of the evil racists, she proves their point, because she says the exact same thing that the people that were on Twitter making point or poking fun, if you will, whatever you want to call it, they weren't really. People were just calling it the question, the demography of the photo. So she's saying the same thing, but coming at it from a different angle, if that makes sense. You know? Like, well done, QCAB. Well done, QCAB, Stuart. You've just proven the point of the very people you're calling evil racists. Because they didn't say anything racist. All they did was say the exact same thing you've just said. You know? But yeah, we did go over the photo thing, so I don't know if you've caught anything to add to that, but it gets worse. Oh, it gets worse. Like,
yeah, but it's also the tone of what she was saying as well, because she called people calling out facts despicable. Despicable. For calling out the fact that like I say, what they consider to be, and Nicola Sturgeon, not only our leader, but also at Govan, whatever it is, another fallen area of Glasgow, which is the most diverse, ever. Like, as you say, that's supposed to be, seen to, to the wider community. They'll be sort of thinking, well, yeah, we can tell it because we saw the pictures. You know what I mean? Yeah. But by virtue, when they say most diverse, once again, it's just code words for less white people.
Exactly.
They're not talking about most diverse, where numbers of people actually reflect the numbers that are in in those particular countries or whatever. Yeah, they're not interested in that. They don't want to see 70% white or whatever it is now. In schools or anything, they want to see, like I say, they want to see 99% bloody outsiders and one insider. Do you know what I mean? Or in that case, there, I don't know, say there's 50 kids or whatever. So what's that? 2%. Whereas, before World War II, it was the other way around. We had something like 2% outsiders and 98% sort of ordinary people. But then, 1945, when the Attlee government got in, then obviously from 48 onwards, it's just been a constant torrent of outcomers flooding into the country even though we're so horrible and intolerant and nasty and, you know, colonialists and slave drivers and we're the worst people in the world. Yeah, well, you or your forebears couldn't wait to fucking get here. You know? You know, it's literally, you know, once again, like I say, you can just literally, you know, this woman here, all the other race baiters like Kahindi Andrews and Afua Hirsch and bloody Ash Sarkar and them, you literally can just blow them out of the water just by saying to them, well, if we're such an awful place, why, even to this day, are people still sort of fighting to get into the country? You know, it doesn't make any sense. You can't be right on both things. You know what I mean? But obviously pointing out that as common sense, that's probably also, you know, racist. So when they say inclusive, they mean sort of they want no white people in there. When they say diverse, it means, you know, we want, you know, everybody but white people in there. When they talk about anti-racism, what they're talking about is basically demonizing white people and brainwashing children into thinking they've got something to answer for or something to apologize for. And the truth of the matter is neither of those things are true. You know, that nobody in our country has anything to apologize for, either in the current time now or anything in the past, because the past is the past. And like I say, irrespective of what these outsiders from our lands would have you believe, not one of them are here today because of slavery or colonialism or whatever. They are all here through choice. So once again, you know, it's either the shittest country in the world, which means that you wouldn't come here because you find a different country that was more of a soft touch, you know, as opposed to the UK, which is the biggest soft touch around the bloody world, right? Or, you know, you're just lying and you're basically shit stirring because, you know, if the real power levels re-emerged in our country like what they should be, then, you know, you literally, you know, the very fact that you're sat at a lectern in the, you know, the highest parliament in Scotland, yeah, cheesing off about how shit we are, is testament to the fact that what you're talking about is just bullshit.
I know. It's opportunism. I said this before. That's what it's starting to appear to me anyway. Well, this isn't something I've just thought about overnight, but that's what it is. The sort of quote unquote progressive landscape that we find ourselves in, politically speaking, as giving leeway for people like that to just jump on the bandwagon and say what the hell they want because they know they can. You know, like it's so obvious that the vast majority of them are after power, but they masquerade their true intentions under this wet wipery, where they'll insinuate that it's just, oh, we're depressed, we just want equality, you know, and then it just drives me nuts. It really does. This especially this anti-racist education shit, because I've said, like, some people, I've had arguments with people before, like, oh, anti-racism isn't critical race theory. Yes, it is. If you look at the anti-racism, right? So they just on the face of it, you're anti-racist, right? You oppose racism. Okay, fine, right, whatever. Define racism. And that's when Pandora's box is opened up, because you see quite clearly what these people are pushing. And it sure as fuck isn't opposing the idea of just disliking someone because of their melanin or their melanin. What's the fucking word? Melanin. That's the one. You know, well, it's much worse than that. It's, as I've read out through all this stuff before, all the different definitions of racism they've got. You know, environmental racism, institutional racism, systemic racism, unconscious racism. You know, the list is endless. But I don't know. Right, I'm going to share a bit more of this, and then we'll move on to the next one. Yeah, melanin. I got it third time right. Like, come on, as I say, I haven't had much sleep, all right. Try my best here to be professional. Right, let me mute.
Make very robust measures to remove that graffiti. However, we must remember that education is for all, and Scotland is a beautiful, vibrant, diverse, inclusive country, and we will not tolerate these kind of signs of graffiti going around. It's cowardly. It's cowardly. just before I finish off moving this motion, I just want to sort of like, when I was at school, in primary school, I'd like to say, as a contrast to the pictures of the beautiful children at St Albert's Primary, in my primary school, I was the only brown face. And the issues of racism, they were the same. The abuse was there. So make no mistake, this is not a question of numbers. This is a question of racism, and it is totally and utterly unacceptable. I do want to acknowledge the fact that I was able to raise a question at Holyrood earlier this week, and we heard a very robust response from the First Minister herself raised in the chamber, and I hope that that brings some comfort to everybody that's watching this, but especially to all our wonderful young people that are in schools and their parents and their teachers, to know that this is not Scotland. Scotland is a welcoming, open, diverse country, and when we are faced with this kind of thing, look at how the communities came together and the messages of love and support and people calling it out, and they have been very heartened by that. And do you know what? It hasn't stopped them. It doesn't stop us. It doesn't stop me. It actually empowers us to go forward in a positive way where we are united. For in an independent Scotland, we are a welcoming, outward-looking nation that is inclusive and welcomes all people. Thank you.
I don't know what to say to that. Like, just, I am so sick of fucking hearing people saying Scotland is an outward-looking, progressive country. Progressive, diverse, and inclusive, and outward-looking, and progressive, and diverse, and inclusive. Like, shut your fucking gums. Like, who asked you? Who asked us? You know, I've said this before, so many studies that came out around about the same time as, you know, all the studies that were done, or surveys, whatever, in England, shows that Scotland has the exact same opinion to immigration, as England does. But yet this is the sort of shit that we hear on a daily basis, browbeaten, and while we hear that simultaneously, show the evil, the racist English, hostile environment, we're not like that up here. Aye, we are. You just never ask us. You know? Can't remember the last time a survey was done. Can't remember the last time anything like that was done, but we have the exact same opinions. You just never ask us. You just browbeat us with this shit. So, I mean, I find that to be like a sort of humiliation ritual, in all honesty, when I hear shit like that. And even hearing it there, it's just fired me up. I'm so pissed off. Like, I'm so sick of hearing it. I really am.
Well, like you say, you know, and the first thing I would go when she started cheesing off about Scotland is so progressive and outward looking. Outward looking is basically code word for more foreign, basically. More foreigners, more foreign. All of these terms that they use all have a basic code word, which means more unwanted immigration to flood in, and you know, less white people. And like I say, because they are now in positions of authority, and the demographics are starting to, in a lot of regions, particularly the metropolitan regions of Britain as a whole, with probably the exception of Northern Ireland, then, you know, they're starting to get a bit more chippy, aren't they? You know, that's the way I would term it. They're starting to get a bit more confident, a bit more full of themselves. And once again, because the paid-for media and the government shills, you know, that are being controlled from external bloody forces, you know, globalist forces, because they are all, you know, all on board or all paid for by the same purse strings, if you like, they can get away with saying anything they want, anything they want. But once again, if you notice, like I say, you know, they post up a picture which is basically rubbing multiculturalism in the face of all of the Scots who, you know, 99.9% of them probably don't want this shit to happen. You know, I don't know what the demographics are, but whatever the percentage of non-Scots are in there, they'll be the ones that are saying, yeah, we don't want any immigration. Yeah, we just don't want it. I can guarantee you that, yeah? So that picture of Nicola Sturgeon in her fallen area, you know, she's going to have to pander to them, because it's them buggers that are obviously keeping her voted in. You know what I mean? And basically what will happen is, as soon as the numbers are right, you know, there'll be one too many inquiries for wee Nippy, and her and a baldy-headed specky fucker of a husband will piss off, minted, right, minted, and, you know, go on the bloody sort of speaking rotas and get onto bloody, you know, different boards by George Soros's groups and bloody WF things or climate bollocks or whatever it is. You know they'll just be minted, because I mean, like they say, they've had their fingers in the purse strings for long enough now. You know, that's wetted the beat. They'll be getting a big payoff when they fuck off, but they'll make sure, you know. But just looking, like I say, you look at that one picture of that school. She'll bide the time, like I say, as soon as there's a one inquiry too many coming up that they can't duck out of, she'll just as likely sort of bow out, and on a bow out speech will be, and I can't remember, I couldn't recommend anybody more than some foreign name person here, you know, whether it's Sensum or whoever it is, either in the constituency or as leader. You can guarantee that the next leader of the Scottish National Party won't be a white man or woman. Guarantee. Yeah, the only chance a white man or woman have got of being, you know, the head of the SNP is if they're daubed in a rainbow flag and they're either bean flickers or sausage iders. That's the only way.
Sausage iders? What?
Yeah. So that's the only way. That's the only way. Yeah, crafty butchers, you know what I mean? Hide the sausage. But yeah, so the only way they've got standard chance, like I say, everything now, there's no, I mean, look at the shower of shit that's down in Westminster now. I mean, you've got the gurning idiot, Liz Truss, it looks like she's got a bloody walking coach. When there was a video by Genesis, yeah, it's called I Can't Walk, you know, or, you know, the only thing about it is where I walk, where they're walking in this weird sort of, you know, the arms are paralleling what the legs are doing. And it's like she's had some you know, people have said to look, you know, she's like trying to study on how to walk, you know, and she sounds like Perry off Kevin and Perry. You know? But she does. Listen to her voice. She does. I'll tell you what, she sounds like this. Hey, Mr. Peterson, yes, Mr. Peterson. Yeah, I'm now the Prime Minister, Mr. Peterson. You know, she sounds just like fucking Perry off Kevin and Perry. And look at the state of that. Is that the best we can do? Well, up in Scotland, you know, it's no better. I mean, you know, wee Nippy is probably slightly more devious and more sly, hence the thin lip, because she's never cracked a smile in her fucking life. You know what I mean? But you can guarantee when she gives up her place in, you know, govern hell or wherever it is, right? The person to replace her at the sort of constituency level won't be a Scot in the truest sense. It'll be some foreigner, because the demographics are already proving that. And the person to take over the helm of the SNP is likely to be the same. What will probably be is, you know, Humser will take over the reins as the party leader, and her constituency will be taken up by, you know, that elephant woman looking thing that was on, you know, that, the sort of the results of what happens when cousins marry sort of thing. You know what I mean? You just, like I say, it's just, you know, it's continual, it's endless. And like I say, England has had to put up with this shite under Labour, particularly under Labour, from the Tony Blair years. So 97 until now, we've had to put up with this shite basically endlessly from 97. And the day and hour a so-called nationalist party took the helms in Scotland, you know, the oxymoron Scottish National Party, every single thing that they've done has been designed to basically destroy the Scottish people. You know, they are the complete, it should be called the Scottish Traitors Party, because that's exactly what they are.
Absolutely. I mean, I never thought it would get as bad as quickly as it has here in Scotland, but it's only really Bonnie Lad. He always finds these stories Right, it really pissed me off, like these random videos, and it'll be like some black guy called like Nahumbi, that in like Bradford or something, he'll be sitting browbeating English people, and then I go, yeah, okay, that's the sort of stuff I'm used to seeing up here. But if it wasn't for Bonnie Lad, I would be convinced it was worse in Scotland. Just fucking even found one earlier on, like African Scots for the Alba Party, which is like supposedly the the Alex Salmond's party, the opposing party for independence and whatnot, like black guys and women, like talking about being more open and welcoming and social justice. Oh, fucking do one. Stop with this nonsense. Right. Right, I'm going to go on to the next one now. This was part 2 of this segment that took place, but this was a different lassie, right? And I'm not going to play the entirety of it, but she says, let me come on. Sound. 2 seconds, I need bother. I'll do that now. Where are you? I need to go on my Telegram on my laptop. Oh, fuck's sake. There you go. And don't dox yourself this time, mate. Right, there you go. I'm coming off Telegram now, so I don't get notifications. Right, I'm upset that Clive won't come on. Maybe next time. But I better wait for him to join before I share my screen. But this lassie, right? Obviously, the way that I can share my screen, just not play the audio.
Who's coming on? Third chair?
Nah, Toffee.
Oh, all right.
Let me do this. Share screen. Film tab. I'll just show you this quickly. Where is it? Yeah, like I've obviously summarised the title of it, but I was like, the SNP think we need critical race theory because people call it critical race theory. Like this is where we're at. This is where we're at now. But obviously she says something else. She says about halfway through the clip. I mean, I'll mute it and I'll just show you what she looks like. Right? She says halfway through here somewhere that what was it? How did she word it? Something to the tune of the BAMEs in our country are worth more than the racists. Like what? Like, but bear in mind, nothing that's been said has been racist. So effectively, according to these people, black and brown people are more worth than people like me in my own country. Like, wow. I didn't sting, it just pissed me off. But that's where we're at now, because if you don't agree with the progressive oligarchy, you'll hear it yourself when I play it. Like, if you don't agree with the progressive oligarchy, then you're not welcome in this country anymore, effectively. So, yeah, we'll get to that. How's it going, Gadget? Are you ready for some rage porn? Oh, can you hear me, Ollie?
Yeah, man.
How's it going?
Not too bad, Gadgy. Good to speak to you, lads.
Well, there's plenty to go through the night. I'm going to play the next one in a second, but if you've got anything to add to what you've seen so far, be my guest. Oh, I still think I'm losing chromosomes just by rewatching these videos.
Mate, you deserve an award for sitting through that today. Fucking hell, what a shit show that was.
I think I need a fucking break. I need a holiday. Oh, man. I have to do it all again tomorrow because Nicola Diddlips will be live tomorrow. Oh, right. I'm going to play this bit. I'm going to call it a bit the female dog there, but I will refrain. Right. Okay. Here we go.
Is Christina Cannon. Welcome, Councillor Cannon.
Good afternoon, conference. I just want to start from the beginning by joining COCAB in condemning the racist attacks on education professionals and school pupils in Glasgow that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, and echo that we as a party send our solidarity to everyone who's experienced this. We must continue to challenge racism wherever we see it, as individuals and as a government. But as we now see more and more of this online, we should also be calling on social media companies to enact their duties in protecting users and ensure that there are consequences for the perpetrators. Those who sit beside a screen directing hateful abuse at people for simply doing their jobs are cowards, and they should be utterly ashamed of themselves. Conference, I just want to echo a point that the First Minister made during the week. Racism in all its forms and at any point is abhorrent. But for grown adults to take to a social media website and direct it at smart, clever, talented children is disgusting. Our teachers and school staff are working tirelessly every single day, doing everything they can to support our young people through their learning journeys, to make sure they're prepared for exams and assessments, to help close the poverty-related attainment gap, and to support our young people in becoming the best people they can be. The last thing they need or deserve is faceless trolls abusing them because of the colour of their skin. Conference. Scotland is a beautiful country in so many ways, but if we really want to create a better country for everyone who lives here, we need to address the underlying racism problem that rears its ugly head every so often. We now need even further action to ensure that racism, whether it be in person or online, does not stain our society anymore. And let's be clear, Conference, ethnic minorities who live, work, study and volunteer in Scotland are far more significant to Scotland's economy, society and culture than any racist ever will be.
Oh wait, Toffee's been booted. Oh, I didn't even realise that. Shit, sorry.
My dog fucking jumped up on me knee and fucked me over, sorry.
Nah, it's alright, because I had the screen share, I didn't notice it. But I don't know if you heard that. Fucking hell. I mean, there's two things there that of worth noting. The first one being what I mentioned before I played the video, where she said that BAMEs, ethnic minorities, whatever you will, are worth more to our economy, our society, and our culture than racists. Now, again, just to preface this, because there's no chance, I was looking at it on my phone, he said up here, if I could just quickly find it.
As you said, I read through all the comments and whatnot. No one said anything racist. Nobody. They just pointed out the obvious.
Exactly. They pointed out the demography of a classroom. And then, as pointed out earlier on, the woman said it herself, that Sturgeon represents the most quote-unquote diverse part of Scotland, right? So the people are right to point out the photo then, were they not? If they're going to say that why is there no white kids? No, it's because it's the most diverse part of Scotland. Okay, well, they're saying the same thing. They're just coming at it from two separate angles, right? But like, as no chance is there, it hates the way they frame all this piss, exactly because they're classifying it all as racist. But the reality of the matter is none of it's been racist. So my takeaway from that is anybody that actually gives a shit about their country in any capacity is worth less than BAMEs. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm being a bit over the mark here, but that kind of feels like dehumanization to me.
Yeah, this guy there has just said it perfectly. So everyone in this chat, he's just said is worthless. That's what she's saying, basically.
Yeah. Is that just like dehumanization? Is not the very thing they're accusing us of being when they call us racist?
Yeah.
Fucking joke.
I'm really hoping in future that these people face jail for what they're doing. Evil, evil bastards.
They are. But I'd love for it to happen. But I'd also love to see a lot of them jailed for what they've done with the COVID shit and all. Like, a man couldn't see me. But the other thing as well to pick up on was she mentioned twice there, and this ties into the stream that we did last Sunday, where we were on about online censorship. She mentioned that twice in that speech there. Now you might just think, it's just a speech. It means fuck all. They voted on that motion. That motion got voted through unanimously. So expect censorship coming. They're going to start cracking down on people that class as racist. So that's anybody that calls out critical race theory. That's anybody that, deconstructs their arguments. So that could be the end of my YouTube channel. They can fuck off because I'll still be on Rumble and Odyssey. But hey-ho, until they start simping as well. Point is, though, if they've got the ability to classify whoever they want as racist, and she says there that there needs to be things put in place online to crack down on this nonsense or this abuse, etc. There was no abuse. There was no racism. It's just the reality is they want to crack down on anybody, absolutely any dissenting opinion from what's going on here. Because if you're not a progressive little wet wipe, then you're part of the problem. I don't know if you got any of that sense. I'm like, while I get the next video, I think I'm going to really make the chat angry by playing Graham Campbell next.
Oh, excellent. I can't wait to hear a bit of Graham Campbell. Hello, Toffee. First time I've been on a stream with you, mate. And listen here, Taffy. I heard you in another stream calling my beloved Stoke-on-Trent all kinds of names, sir. This will not stand, sir. This will not stand. Do you not understand this thing? It is not true that all roads lead to Stoke-on-Trent, and the easiest way to get there is to follow the burnt-out cars. That simply is not true. It's mopeds that you have to follow, the burnt-out mopeds. Anyway, yeah, so on this old shite here, right? She starts off, she goes...
I like the emojis. I was thinking.
Yeah, well, the thing is, she comes out and she goes, I don't like race. Well, I don't like racism either, But pointing out the tragic demography that picture shows in plain sight isn't racism. It's not racism. It's a fact. Lots of people on this channel know about Chris Dangerfield. And I think Cambodia is something like, 98% Cambodian. And if you were to go to that same daft boot and to say to her, okay, then, well, if I went to Cambodia, first of all, would I be able to get in a position of power in Cambodia, stand in front of a lectern and start telling people start telling the Cambodians how shit they were, and how, Cambodian society needs to have less Cambodians, and how all Cambodians are, their thoughts and opinions need to be stifled, because they're just an oppressive regime. Now, if you weren't sent to prison because you might have already been executed for treason, what would she do? She'd be all saying, "Oh well, no, it's different, because we're the, you can't have it, you can't have it." There's no way you could say, "Okay, then, Humza, I'll drag my arse off to Pakistan there, get myself into an area." Start telling people, we need to import more white European people in here, till we get an enclave, and then we'll be switching the demographics over and start getting a voting base and start getting into positions of power. I tell you what, right? You'd probably get half a dozen people at most, and then they disappear. They wouldn't be there. And the same in, African countries. Turn up and say, right then, all you lot here, there's far too few white people here. We need to start coming in and invading all your institutions and telling you how nasty and bad you all are. Yeah. Once again, you'd end up with a fucking burning tire necklace. That's literally what would happen, and rightfully so, because that's their countries. If I go to Nigeria, if I go to Laos or to Vietnam, or if I go to bloody Brazil or anywhere, Argentina, Chile, anywhere, Bolivia, I'm a fucking guest. Yeah, I might make my life there and live there amongst those people, but I'm a guest in that country. Yeah, that's what these lot seem to forget and realize is that, just because we give our citizenship away with a gallon of petrol these days, everything that you are, these people who are stood up in front of lecterns in our government institution telling us how bad we are, well, first of all, like I say, you're completely and utterly wrong, because if we were like that, there's no way on this earth we would tolerate you in those positions. Yeah, and the fact that we are, it's just bullshit, basically. And then the last bit is when she was talking about censorship and more talking about, suppressing people having sort of factually truthful thoughts. They might be uncomfortable. So I would imagine that 90% of the people who saw that picture would be that. And that censorship woman, she said, there was, the censorship. There was a toady from the World Economic Forum on recently, who literally turned around and said that they own the science, and they were in cahoots with all of the big media platforms to suppress anything that goes against. So basically, the truth. They want to suppress the truth, basically. And they'll say, "Oh, it's just misinformation." So once again, and there you got the same, the horsey mouth git from New Zealand saying exactly the same thing. We really need to suppress. We really need to suppress misinformation. Yeah, it's like, no, fuck off. What you need to do is you need to be hanging from your toes, you traitor. That's what you need to be doing. Anyway. I'll tell you what, fucking Scouse connections are not very good, are they?
No, I know. I want to share my next video, but I have to wait till he jumps back in now. It's Graham Campbell. Oh, I mean, I'll show you. Well, in fact, remember that stream we did with John Davison, and with the music one, and then you thought you were being a wee smart arse, and you had your pick which one of your wee graph that you had. I'll show you all the things that I've done. But Graham Campbell's coming on, but I'll let you pick after. There's quite a lot in truth. Yeah. So there's Toffee there. Right, artist stream. Right, so I'll just show this. He just what the fuck? He's out again. Well, I just in this case that. Yeah, question. She's can't be by the looks of it anyway. That bulge, look at the line by a long shot. Like, oh, hell. But yeah, share my screen. Where is it? I'll just do this Chrome tab quickly. I've done quite a lot. So there's the abortion ones, which I found kind of difficult to listen to in truth. Slippery K1. The size of Nicola Sturgeon's head. I thought that was quite a good one. We've got, let me see. Great. Oh yeah, the Graham Campbell one is about alternatives to detention centres for migrants. Then there was this last year. Then there was Graham Campbell. Graham Campbell's quite raging in this video, as he said. Oh, these ones are quite educating new Scots on voting rights, right? And oh God, that's difficult to listen to as well. We've got Ukraine simping. We've got UK's Rwanda plan. They oppose that, obviously. Why wouldn't they? They're the SNP. The definition of Islamophobia, that's been voted through. So the SNP are going to have a brand new definition of Islamophobia. And that's kind of really it so far until tomorrow. But quite a lot to go through. Obviously not going through all that shit tonight. But yeah, I'll leave the option open to you. But is Toffee back? Yes, he is. All right, what the fuck's going on with your connection? Like, was he there? Hello?
Mic check, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, aye.
Yeah, fucking hell. Sorry, lads. Sorted now. Go on.
Yeah, all right. Is it? It's not your connection, that is it?
No, I had too many apps up on my phone, is what it was.
Right. No worries. Just because if I'm sharing my screen, I won't be able to add you back in. But well, that's a good one. What the fuck happened earlier on there? Like,
hey lads, you know you've just been saying there, Sensum, about them bit of identity robbing going on. I don't know where you live. There's a load of Polskis round here, and to be fair to the Polish, like one of my next door neighbours, but one, they've anglicised their names, sort of thing, if you know what I mean. Like they're from Poland, but they've anglicised the names. And I've had the convo with them before, and they've said to me, "This is your country. We don't pretend that we're anything but Polish. We're not trying to take on your identity. We're here to work. And then when we make our money, we'll be fucking off back to Poland. But we're a guest in your country, to be fair to them." And most Polskis I've come across are like that, to be fair.
Well, that's not true in Crewe then, because they've had 20 years to fuck off back to Poland. None of them have yet. So.
Yeah, there's quite a
The
lot.
wage difference they can make here compared to Poland's ridiculous. They'd all get fucked off if I was in charge. Like,
Yeah, and like I say, that's exactly why they want to keep the immigration going, because they'll do work at a cheaper price, so it artificially deflates our wages. And once again, you've got Surgical Trust on there saying we need to increase GDP. GDP only benefits it used to benefit the 1%, but it's even worse than that now. It's the 0.1%.
yeah.
That's it. 99% of the money that's accumulated because of my GDP goes to the 90% of that money goes to the 0.1%. The 1% that's left, this so-called trickle-down economics, which is once again another fucking piece of bullshit, is spread around, the 99.9% of people. And because that's increasing to the tune of 1 million extra souls artificially every 3 to 5 years, then, because that 1% is spread across millions more people, every hike in GDP lines the pockets of, the toe rag big businesses who benefit from this, deflated wages, etc. And it also finds its way into the arse pockets, via various means through palm grease, etc., and so-called lobbying groups, etc. They find ways, all end up in the arse pockets of these treacherous bastards that are supposed to be out in governance for us rather than against us. And like I say, they talk about my GDP, the growth. Fuck GDP. I'll take. You can slash GDP in half if it means we can get rid of half the fuckers that shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? That's because it would end. Because it's. And they're forever talking about we need more people to come into the NHS. No, the very fact that you're letting more people in means that we need more people for the NHS. We need less people, and you need to start doing a foundation whereby, not just for a fucking election cycle, it has to be done. It's a 2 or 3 generation thing, because it's taken 2 or 3 generations for you to allow it to get to the state where, we're now having to rob every other country's bloody professional sectors in the NHS and that. You need to start now by every single university position, hospital positions. And I know that there are loads of people in our country who've got the acumen and the mental knowledge to go and do those things, but what they haven't got is the places, because yes, there are certain places allocated to our people, yeah, but the majority of them go to foreign students because they pay them more money. Well, what we would do is, first of all, take away, there'll be whoever wants to start doing a nursing degree or a doctorate, a medical doctorate in this country, whoever wants to do it, yes, they have to have the qualifications to get on that course. They get preferential treatment over and above anybody else. If there are any spaces after that, then we'll allow in, a few from wherever, but we choose where. Yeah, doesn't matter. The majority of those places will be taken up by our own people. Second thing, I would scrap tuition fees for medical doctors and for nurses. And why would I say that? Well, the reason for that is, once these people become qualified, they do their 2-year internship, which is what they have to do in order to be fully qualified as a doctor. And then what do? Well, they piss off to the United States, or they piss off to Canada, or they piss off to New Zealand, or they piss off to Australia, because they get a better standard of life, of quality of life, and they get paid more. Now, if they were to start on their salary going into that without any debt whatsoever, then they're less likely wanting to piss off to another country in order to do X, Y, Z. So the way this would work, and it's part of John Davidson's manifesto, is that you start with us, we'll pay your fees, wherever it is, 100 grand or wherever it is, for those years that it takes you to train to be a doctor. Yeah, that includes, we'll pay you your fees for your education, and we'll pay your board. Yeah, without you taking the piss. If you want to take out a loan on your own back so you can buy extra things here and there, then that's on you. For that 100 grand outlay, I'm just paraphrasing here, you give the NHS 10 years service. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're tithing you to do 10 years service, but it's not going to be, we're not forcing you, we're not prisoning you. We're not fucking, the People's Republic of China. What we are saying is that we've given you the opportunity and the benefit to work in this country as a doctor, and that's cost the system. It costs a lot more, but let's say it costs 100 grand. You need to give us 10 years of service, and then that debt is paid out. If you want to leave after 5 years, you pay us back 50 grand. If you want to leave after 7 years, you owe us 30 grand, and it would work like that on a pro rata basis. Yeah. So the earliest opportunity that they could leave was after 2 years. So if they leave after 2 years, you owe us 80 grand basically. Yeah. But the thing is, a lot of people wouldn't want to leave because without any debt over the, hanging over around the necks, the wages that they're getting all of a sudden is very lucrative. It is a very, very good wage all of a sudden. And you do it over generation after generation. So like I say, it won't be in my lifetime, but certainly hopefully within my kids' lifetime and their kids' lifetime, we'll have gone back to having an NHS which is manned and staffed by our own people rather than foreigners. And let's just say, some of the videos that you see coming out now, especially in geriatric wards where foreigners are taking care of our old people, they treat
abusing fucking elderly people. Jesus, I've seen so many of them.
Well, I'm not saying it's all because that would be disingenuous and not true. However, there are far too many incidents, right, of this happening. And you'd say, well, how many is too many? Or, well, one's too many. Just in the same way as we're importing all of these problems, a lot of our people get hurt, particularly girls being raped and that. So people getting hurt, people getting murdered, people on a mass industrial scale being raped, yeah? And the glib excuse that comes out of the mouths of these traitors is, oh, well, it's not all immigrants. No, of course it's not fucking all immigrants. But the one that is the loose cannon that wipes out, your daughter or your wife or your husband or your brother or mother or whatever, yeah, is one too many. And the difference is all of these traitors, the 650 traitors we've got in Westminster, they will never, ever, ever have to come into contact with the situations and the climate that they are creating for ordinary people. So I would happily say, and I make this exact same analogy all the time, what the British government is doing to the people of these lands through this mass immigration is basically playing Russian roulette with our lives. Yes, it's not all of them, but out of that, there's always going to be the odd few who will kick off and cause mayhem and cause harm. Yeah. So for everyone that does happen like that, this is the way I would play it. And I'm dead serious about this. In the Houses of Parliament, there's 650 traitors in there. So you have a tombola and you roll the bloody tombola and 600, there's 650, put your hand in, you take out a chit and it's like number 329. Oh, that happens to be XYZ from this constituency. Yeah. So that comes back out, XYZ from this constituency. Right, okay. Well, we have a 357 Magnum here. As you can see, there's no cartridges in the chambers. We're putting a single bullet in. Zzz, there we spun it. Put that gun to your head and click the trigger. You've got a 1 in 5. You've got a 5 in 6 chance of nothing happening to you whatsoever. Well, I'm not going to do that. Why not? I could kill, yeah, right. But not all of the chambers are loaded, are they? And that's exactly the same excuse.
What Dawn just said there. That passes. I don't want to be insulting towards him, but he's called me an evil racist numerous times. I'm not into that fella at all. I remember he specifically said once, an exact quote, he wouldn't care if this country was 90% black as long as they identified as British. I think, fuck off, lad. No.
I don't know who that
and
is.
Do you know what you're talking about there? Someone mentioned in the chat the other day, are you onto the amount of gross misconduct that's in the NHS from foreign doctors?
Well, if you look at the number of cases that are doing, I don't know how many there are in the NHS. I think it was something like 13%, but it's like 50. It's like the 13 and 50% rule again, isn't it? It's something stupid like that again.
Yeah, it's like 85%. It's something shocking, where you think, oh my God.
Right. Yeah. All right. Can I fire? I didn't realize you were still in the chat. There you are. You're going to like this one. I know how much you like Graham Campbell. Sorry. Oh shit. But if you want to finish your thought there, says, and then I'll share it because. Right. Or can you
No,
remember?
mate, I'm pretty done. All I'm saying is, like I say, the people in charge who inflict this on us, and it gets worse and worse every year, irrespective of which rosette of power's in, including the SNP up in Scotland, because they're the most anti-nationalist party ever, absolute traitors. You know, like I say, they expect us just to tolerate it. And when incidents, like I say, when it's the other way around, the very, very rare and minuscule occurrences of where it's the other way around, it's world news for fucking months.
Yep.
And yet we get countless incidents time and time again of murders, theft in the middle of London, you know, being theft. Like there's a woman sort of minding a beeswax, motorcycle gang come over and push her into an alley, and a bloke sort of faces up to them, and they, like I say, they ended up getting away with whatever she had on, a wristwatch or a bracelet or whatever it was. They ended up getting away. Nothing will ever happen. But when they put it up on the screen, it's like, oh yes, some men attacked a lady in London. You know, they'll never go there. They'll never go there. They'll never.
We've got a thing here now, mate. The Liverpool Echo is owned by the Trinity Mirror Group, which is as left-wing as you can get. And thankfully, people are starting to click onto it. If ever there's a crime reported, you know, like a male's committed a crime, it'll give a description, a white man. So as soon as the description isn't given, you know it's a foreigner. I had a sick example lately, right, in, I won't say the area, an area in South Liverpool. The Echo put up a story saying, oh God, listen to this, a tanned man was parking up outside schools and trying to chat schoolgirls up. A tanned man.
Well, like I say, that's actually even got a law. It's called Coulter's Law, named after Ann Coulter, who coined the phrase in America, which is, bloody hell, yeah, I didn't just say that.
Blonde bird, I'm onto it.
Yeah, you know, when they don't say, you know. Anyway, Gadji, I'll pass back to you, mate.
Right, aye, Graham Campbell time. It's time to move on with proceedings.
I love a bit of Graham Campbell.
I fucking don't. All right, let's go after it.
And to second resolution number 8, I would like to call Councillor Graham Campbell. So welcome, Graham.
Afternoon, conference and delegates, welcome, and visitors too. It will not be surprising to you that I'm supporting this motion and moving it and seconding it with my esteemed colleague, Valerie Love. We've both worked for many years at the coalface of this issue, supporting refugees, defending their rights, protesting at Dungavel. And I look forward to the day, if there's just one good reason to have an independent Scotland, it's the day that we can close the doors to Dungavel IRC for good. And if there's a second reason, the second reason is that we in Scotland have shown that there is a humane way to deal with refugees and asylum seekers. We are the country of Nicholson Street, Edinburgh. We're the country of Kenmure Street, Glasgow. That's how we stay. We want to welcome refugees, not treat them as a hostile element. So if you're listening, UK government, this is how a country greets and welcomes people who are fleeing wars and persecutions. We welcome them into our homes. And if we did that for Ukrainians, look at how quickly and rightly safe routes became available. 25,000 of our citizens offered up their homes to welcome refugees. Our government sponsored 7,000 people as refugees from Ukraine. But what about the people from Afghanistan? What about the people from Yemen, the DRC? In fact, Syria, Eritrea, in fact, the nationalities of all the people who are on those boats crashing off those Greek islands this week. What about them? What about safe routes for them? And this is the point. I'm old enough, and you might can see this, I'm old enough to remember John Reid being Home Secretary and saying that to be as racist as possible the doors, pushing the Labour and Tory governments, competing with each other to be more racist than the government that came before, locking the doors, pushing the boats back, pushing them to Rwanda, wherever it is. They're competing to be as racist as possible with our immigration policy. Well, Scotland wants out of that because we want to have a humane policy with our alternatives to detention. And we've shown in our communities where that's possible. You know, we've closed the mother and baby unit in Glasgow, which was asylum in our country. Now, we want control of our borders. We want control of our immigration, not to keep people out, but to welcome people in. As our First Minister says, we're a large country with a large geography, with a small population. We're not full. Come, and you'll be welcomed.
Hey, kid, I've not noticed it before. Did you hear his attempt to put on a Scottish accent there? The way he was saying the word thousand.
No, I never
I've not noticed that before.
No, I never noticed, but oh my god, like he drives me spare for a myriad of reasons, but just that bit right at the end there when he goes that like, you know, we want control of our own borders, so not to keep people out, but to let people in. It's like, oh, and then
This fella knows as well in his heart, once they outnumber us, our doors are going to start going through and we're just going to get murdered in our own homes. And he fucking knows it as well. Scumbag.
You know the thing about him, I mean, that's not even an over-dramatization or like an over-exaggerative thing to say. He's a black supremacist. Like a legitimate black supremacist. Now, don't get me wrong, right? Like you get the term white supremacist thrown about too often, right? Anybody that cares about their own people is a white supremacist. This guy is a genuine black supremacist. He's a black liberation.
Most blacks are.
He's like socialist, Marxist, the black liberation movement advocate. And the way that he speaks about blacks, it's a revenge mission to him.
Revenge, precisely, revenge.
Mm-hmm. And that's what he's wanting. He's wanting more people like him here. But it's just, I don't know. But I've been saying this for a while. Like, the way that the SNP always go on about having a sort of, we want a humane approach to immigration, a humane approach to asylum, etc., right? In comparison to what is already happening, which is pretty damn fucking humane in the grand scheme of things when you've got thousands of people flooding over. Right, let me in. Oh, sorry, there you are. Did you hear? How are you going? I knew the Graham Campbell thing would make him rage.
Aye. I know I'm up
Five, lad.
That Graham Campbell. Like, just bring up the screen of him. Like, you don't need to play anything, just the screen of him.
There's more to play. I can play the rest of it if you want.
I just want to see his
Please
face.
don't.
Okay. Film tab. There we go. So.
Obviously, I have to watch what I say, but he knows that. I don't want to use the word inferior, but he knows, like, he feels that in his heart, which is why he's trying to laugh as a Scottish person.
But just look at this guy just now. Everyone just take in what he looks like. This is the man that complained about people assuming he's Jamaican.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I'm going to get that video up.
That's how oppressed he is. People assume he's Jamaican.
I'm going to get
Jamaican garb all the time. Like, I'm sorry.
And he says it in a Southern English accent as well.
The comparison I always use, that's like me going to fucking China and wearing a kilt and everything. See, I moved there and I just believe I'm Chinese, right? But I wear a kilt all the time. I've got a spawn, like, all that. And then I'm complaining in front of all these Chinese people when I'm part of their government going, people always assume I'm Scottish. I'm just as Chinese as the rest of you cunts. You're like, no.
Wait, I'll get that up now. I've got the video of the one you're on about for anybody. I think we've played it before, but I won't play the whole thing. It's just the first minute or so.
I bet he stinks. Looks like he stinks.
Aye, well, how'd you get dreadlocks? Look, you just don't.
Yeah, exactly. Don't wash your hair, do they?
Great interview, scene 10 and scene 1. I think I would probably be more easily accepted as Scottish if I had the accent. There's no doubt that the accent places people as part of this country, but I'm always asked every time I come back here, oh, are you visiting from London? Nobody thinks when they're asking me if it's a taxi driver, you are from somewhere else. Automatically, that's the assumption. And they ask me, are you from Jamaica? Well, kind of, yeah, I am. But I'm also Scottish. I've been here longer than I ever would have lived in Jamaica. So I'm also Scottish now. I will say that now. But it's pretty clear that the majority of folks that I come across, particularly white folks, don't immediately think of me as Scottish.
No, nobody thinks that I'm Scottish as I wear Jamaican garb and speak in an English accent. It's fucking bizarre. You're like,
As you said the other week, no chance. You said it's a case of don't believe your lying eyes.
Exactly. I like putting that clip of what's that cunt's name again? You hated it when I used it, DJ. What was the guy's name? He's blocked me on Twitter. He's the fat cunt that's always in Westminster.
Blackford?
Aye, Ian Blackford. I always use his clip of.
Hey, didn't he get in trouble for being a bit? I might be wrong. Didn't he get being a bit of a perv, Blackford? Sure, I heard that.
Oh, mate, it wouldn't surprise me.
No, he was effectively covering up for a nonce.
All right.
But he's got a history though. He effectively, what's the guy's name? Ian Kennedy. Lib Dem back in the day.
The Lib Dems love a bit of perversions, fucking hell.
He bullied him to his death, during the campaign election, kept ribbing him for being an alcoholic. But yet he complained when Boris Johnson implied he was fat.
Just listening to that clip and thinking about the analogy I used about China that's like me going to China, white, right? Wearing a kilt, spoiling all that, and then going, what go on, man? And then I complain about people either assuming I'm Jamaican or Scottish. You're like, you're a fucking retard.
Racist, as the Chinese would say. That racist.
I hear racist.
So many fucking clips that I've got from this conference, but I think the new Scott shit might be worth a wee listen to. I'm just trying to remember which one.
What was disturbing, Deej? Do you know they were talking about suicide in prisons? You uploaded the vid, and Sturgeon, it was really robotic. It's like she was reading from a script. I think this is right. And you think you didn't mean any of that, you little scumbag.
No, I mean, they've all got their wee, I can't remember the terminology, but the people that write their scripts for them. That's what I hate about the Scottish Parliament. I know it's sort of the same in England, but it's a lot worse here to the point that there was a Tory MSP in the Scottish Parliament actually filed a complaint, and the clip, I've got the clip on my community page somewhere. If you scroll down, you'll see it. And Stephen Kerr, I think his name is, and he's like, when's this nonsense going to stop? Where the SNP have always got they've got pre-warning of what questions going to get asked, because it gives them time for their little lackeys to write the answers for them. Sturgeon does not do anything. If you all these interviews that she does, she totally malfunctions if somebody asks a question she doesn't know fuck all about, because it's got to stick to the script. And then quite often, if that's the case, you'll see the papers come out in the morning the SNP lash out at, disgraceful, blah, 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 because they had the temerity to ask the bowl-cutted boots and she didn't fucking know, which isn't very much. Let's not forget she's a lawyer, but now all of a sudden she's a climatologist, just an expert on everything else as well. Let me see, though, which...
Sturgeon, pretty much all politicians, but Sturgeon in particular, I'm sure if she did an examination with a psychologist, she'd come out as a sociopath. She's a complete sociopath. She's not even a real person. She's not all there at all. She views humans as fucking a table or a chair. She doesn't see people as people.
And she's a total narcissist as well.
That's what I mean. It's all about getting her name in the history books. It's not about actually helping anyone. She just wants to do that thing, like independence. She wants that attached to her name so she can be written about and remembered forever. Because she's got no other legacy. She's got no children. She's got no interest in Scotland as an actual group. It's just about names in the books. But I
was shocked, to be honest. I only found out from you two the other week that she was married. Fucking hell. Who's married, huh?
I think they're both hiding in the closet together.
Oh,
I think the
shit,
word
shit.
you were looking for,
More,
DJ,
more
was spin
importantly, she's
doctors.
got no bloody kids. That's the
What,
more
what, sorry?
important thing. More importantly, she's got no bloody kids. So she's
Yeah,
got
no skin in the game.
Exactly, no legacy, that's what I mean. But I DJ was saying the word you were looking for was spin doctors. That's the people in the
Yeah.
background that are shaping what they're saying and making sure everything comes across
Oh, I mean,
on
even
narrative.
this- Oh, let me show you this as well. On my Telegram, it's fucking hilarious. Wait, how did I dense? How did I spell it? Because I think I spelled dense wrong. Let me search this quickly. Is this it here? Oh yeah. Right. I'll forward this to my saved messages. Right, watch this shit. You know, this is how bad Sturgeon's scripts really are. Before I move on to this clip, like, just going on the Telegram. That's fucking brilliant, by the way. Okay. Let me share my screen. Right. Here we go. I don't know if anyone's ever seen this before, but right. Fucking hell. Hopefully they'll be able to make it out on Telegram, but right. So these are the photos. Let me move this out of the way. I don't know if you'll see this properly. Wait. Right. Oh fuck! I don't know if you can see that properly.
Do you know what? Have you ever noticed? I've never seen like a woman in real life, apart from politicians, that wear these mad women's suit things that she's got on. Like she wears it, Thatcher wore it,
I've got an idea.
Theresa May wore it, and I've never seen no woman in real life like wearing that kind of shit.
Nah, she reminds me of Merkel. Like Merkel used to wear dodgy.
Yeah,
fucking
she's
clothes.
big time like Merkel.
Yeah. Right. I'm just saving.
That's Mrs. Merkel, Les Dawson Appreciation Society.
Wait. I'll just share my screen again in a second. I'm just getting the photos up.
Les Dawson was a, by the way, if you know what I mean.
Sorry?
Les Dawson was a part of a certain group of people.
Oh, we had. Is that what you mean? I don't know. Right, there we go. Look at this shit. Hopefully I can zoom in on this a bit better. If the fucking photo would open. Right. I don't know. Move! Fuck me, like. Right, and then the next one. I don't know if you can
You
see.
could click on hide, mate. You know that cunning word that's onto the right there. Hide.
It's to the side and opposite. That's a bigger fucking text. And then there should be. I don't know if you were able to see that. I did save two, but they're not in order, and I'm not going to share that because it's not my stuff. So, but big bold writing, you know. But yeah, I'll play this now. Share this. I'll mute first though.
Of the participants. One said, I feel at home in Scotland, but I would be very uncomfortable living in England because Brexit of an hostile environment. Others said, even in the years leading to the Brexit referendum, I started to get a sense of an inclusive Scottish society, which welcomes people as Scots, by virtue of them living in Scotland and being an active part of society.
Where's she from?
And another said, I consider myself a new Scot who was born and grew up in Poland. I do not belong in Poland anymore, and I question if I ever have. In her studies, Professor Beaumont interviewed several new Scots, 286 who were EU-born citizens living in Scotland. Almost 95% of them were registered to vote. Yet, she made me aware that these people were from educated background and relatively high social status. So, this small number probably does not represent the majority of new Scots. If we look at February 2021 migration stats for Scotland, in 2019, 28,000 more people came to Scotland from overseas than left. adding to the population. In the first half of 2020, the number of non-British nationals living in Scotland stood at 409,000, which is an increase from previous years. This is 7.5% of the population, 7.5. So, from those, 235,000 were EU nationals and 178,000 non-EU nationals. 63,000 are in Edinburgh, my home city. Conference, I'm not saying that all new Scots will vote for independence, but they have a choice to do so here in Scotland. Remember, we were not allowed to vote for Brexit, and I assume, like probably many do, that the result would have been much different.
Right, what she's just said there about 7.5% of the population. Do you realise that white Caucasian people, us, we're about 8% of the world's population? So it's fucking insane that everyone else is referred to as a minority when we're the minority.
Yeah. No, without a doubt. And then even a step further on the topic of minorities, I haven't read the census, and I think it's come out for England and Wales. I know it's going to be a while for Scotland, but how many cities use minorities in England already? You know,
you sent me, didn't you, the other day, the percentage in Liverpool here, and we're like, I can't even remember what it was. We're like 70% white, maybe even more. But that's rapidly changing. The other day, I seen me first I've never seen a woman in a burqa. I was in the Asda buying mine, and some fucking woman had a full-on face veil. Quite shocking. Like, I've only ever seen her on the telly, and that I've never seen her in real life. Horrible.
Yeah, I've not seen any up here yet. Like, but that clip there, that's one off a few. I'll just say it's educating new Scots on voting rights. So obviously there was a few others. I think that Rosa Sally, she had a speech on that one. Some other boot had a speech on it. Got voted for unanimously. So on the back of this, what they're advocating for obviously is more things put into place to educate foreigners, aka new Scots, on the fact that they can vote, because obviously in Scotland now foreign nationals can vote and asylum seekers can vote. Well, refugees.
I didn't know that. Fucking hell.
Yeah, they did that. They did that like a couple of years ago.
Jesus.
They didn't ask any of us. They just fucking did it. It was in their manifesto, I think, on the slide. But
I remember hearing it mentioned, but I didn't know it came through. So if you're just some fresh off the boat person, you can just vote in Scotland.
Well, no, not like they wanted to go a step further, and it was even like asylum seekers that are waiting for their claim to be processed, they could vote too, but they turned that down for now. But the campaigners ain't happy; they wanted to go further. But foreign nationals, so like anybody that moves here from like the EU or Africa, or whatever, and becomes a citizen, they can vote, and anybody that gets their asylum application accepted can vote. And on top of that, they can also stand their elections. So I'm fucking sorry, like that the way that woman's talking there when she's on about. Because that's the other part of it as well. They want, in this hypothetical referendum, whether or not it happens or not, they want all the foreigners to be able to vote as well. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm sorry. Like, you've got, like, that's the equivalent of, like, dual nationality. Like, I don't give a shit. You should be allowed to vote in my country. Like, you should, like, I don't even believe in, like, I'm not somebody that's a firm believer in democracy and all that shit. I've made my feelings clear now, so I won't get involved.
I'm not, mate.
But I don't vote or anything like that. I think it's worthless. I think it's a quick piece of, like, nonsense. I will say, though, however, that there's two things that I take away from that. That could influence any referendum if it was allowed to go without any, tomfoolery behind the scenes. That could influence a referendum. And, of course, EU fucking nationals are going to vote for independence if they think it's going to get them back at the European Union. Of course they are, so they can have their free travel and be closer to home, etc. Why wouldn't they? And on top of that, though, as I know I got banned off BitChute, sorry for saying this, but making us indistinguishable from the foreigner. Let's take, like, why is that making me any different to somebody from the Congo that moves here? That's a birthright, It's one extra chip away at making me indistinguishable from the foreigner. I've said this before. BitChute didn't like what I had to say, and they threw me off the platform for making that fucking quote. Well, go fuck yourself, BitChute, because it's the truth. Global citizenship.
What you just said there, mate, about democracy, and it sounds mad. Like, I'm almost hearing myself saying it, I don't believe in democracy.
I never
And
have.
if I mention it to people, it's sort of hard to get me point across. But I think it doesn't work. If we had a united, homogenous society, we wouldn't need democracy because we just all act in our own interests, kind of thing. It sounds a bit fashy-like, but that's what I think, I'm afraid.
I don't know. I mean, the best way to sort of dismantle any argument that somebody makes in favour of democracy is, well, you agree with me that gets dictatorial Labour that are always going to get in? Yes. You agree that there's hidden hands behind the scene? Yes. Okay, so if you agree that the system's rigged against us, why would you even contemplate the possibility of being able to start a party up, infiltrate the system that's rigged against you, then change said system? It's just never going to happen. Sorry for anybody in the chat that thinks it's going to, fucking wake up. It's not.
But then the alternative is just roll over and accept abuse.
No, because if enough people realise that democracy is a load of shit, the power dissipates overnight. The problem we've got is enough people still buying into this shit. Well, that's the problem. We are the minority. Well, I am anyway. That's my point. If enough people stop voting, and if enough people stop taking their shit seriously, enough people stop abiding by their crap that comes on the back of policies. The only reason that they've got any power is because their votes give them power. It's an illusion.
The one just put in the chat earlier what percentage we are in society in the world. We're less than 8% of the world's population. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then when all the boomers die, it'll be even fucking smaller because of the birth rates across the West as well.
I know this could be full conspiracy mode, but see, there's the pension crisis and all that. Like, do you not think it's convenient that there's an energy crisis? That COVID, energy crisis, both will kill old people, which would get them.
No, that's not because I agree with you, mate.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I just think it's very convenient, the two of them, because you even saw that way. It wasn't just in New York this was happening. There was scandals across the globe where politicians were putting COVID-infected people into old people's homes. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's very convenient. They're the demographic that's most likely to suffer from it. And then we've got the energy crisis where we're turning heating off or potentially turning heating off. And you're like, that seems like a get out for paying a pension.
And the pensioners as well, like that generation, that just naturally, like me nan's generation, they're stoic people. So they'd rather sit there in a coat rather than put the heating on. And they're very frugal, and it's fucking tragic.
Yeah, and another one that's worrying, because like I say, the trends that go around, especially in the demonic bloody Anglosphere. I was watching a program, and this is all stats, all proper stats. In Canada, the highest cause of death in the Alberta province is something called unknown cause, and that's just been in the last 18 months. Something called unknown cause unknown. Yeah,
that's
right.
About like the, what do you call it? Died suddenly.
SADS.
Aye.
Sudden adult death syndrome. But more worryingly than that, do you know what was 5th or 6th on the hit parade in our Canuck cousins' land?
Go on.
Assisted suicide for any reason. Oh. So basically, if you're fed up with the situation that the government's put in,
look at that picture.
I slightly blew up her head more than.
He didn't know. I don't know if you've noticed. I don't know if you've seen the fucking video I posted on my YouTube the other day.
Aye, that's why I done it.
Yeah, for coffee and Sensum, they've not seen it. Wait, let me get this up. The fucking size of her head is.
As you just said there, Sensum, and what you're talking about, Alberta is a particularly cold part of the world as well, isn't it?
Yeah, but what I was trying to get across is that the evil demons in Canada under Trudeau have legalized. Well, they'll help you to die if you just can't cope anymore. So basically, your life's been made so fucking shit because of the system that you're being put under, the treachery that you're being put under, that if you can't go on anymore, oh, that's fine. We'll help you. We'll help you kill yourself. No questions asked. That is an absolute disgrace.
We'll make life unbearable for you, and then help it along the way at the end.
They're pushing for that in Scotland as well. The assisted suicide thing.
Yeah. So, but in Canada, it's literally for any reason. So you could have a young, healthy person in the 20s or whatever, right? Who might be considering such a thing, and they'll just help you along the way. Yeah, we'll just replace you with some fucking foreigner.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely disgraceful.
It's also the same as suicide is like the same as an abortion, but like 30 years into your life, sort of thing, or however many years.
Well, you get a say in it, though, don't you? Well, you hope you get a say in it, put it that way.
But yeah. See, talking about that, that's a weird thing. I see a lot of rebuttals from people that are pro-abortion. I don't use the word pro-choice intentionally. The pro-abortion mob, some of them go, well, I wish I wasn't born. You're like, how is that a fucking argument? Just kill yourself. Just get it over with. Like, that doesn't mean you need to kill loads of babies and the fucking in the process because you don't feel that you should be here. But DJ,
I've got a sock account on Facebook. I keep a little sock account to troll Guardian readers and whatnot. There's a girl on there who I butt heads with constantly, and she's got as a tagline on her little Facebook account, abortion is a healthcare. I think, what kind of fucking sickening hill to die on is that? You dirty, dirty creature.
I know.
I want to kill my babies.
I know, let's even if I know we're not quite that bad at the moment. I think, who was it that was, you clipped it, DJ, the guy that stood up was talking about maybe re-looking at the 24-week thing because the science has changed. Aye, John Mason, as much as I'd outright ban abortion completely, but at least he was pushing for a more realistic thing where it was like, well, 24 weeks now, there's children that are surviving at like 22 weeks. So for us to have a 24-week threshold, it's not scientific. It's outdated basically. And you're like, right, fair play, mate. As much as I disagree with that, I kind of appreciate the kind of rolling back. But
there was
for
an
me,
abortion.
Saying that, no chance. You said you'd ban abortion outright. I agree with you up to a point, but what would you say about someone who's been? It's the outlier, obviously. Someone who's been raped.
I'd say the exception doesn't make the rule, but to counter the rape issue is I would encourage women to report rapes as soon as they happen, like ASAP, because part of the rape kit, the sooner you report a rape, the DNA is there, the more likelihood you're going to catch the perpetrator, but you also get the morning after pill as a result of that. So that knock that in its head. But if you wait like X amount of time, that's still on you, as much as it's a horrific thing. And I sympathise with anyone that has been through that. But if you've waited a huge length of time to the point where you need an abortion, that's your fault. Two wrongs don't make a right. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I was going to say about John Mason there because one of the clips that I got today as well, it was for upgrading the buffer zones and all this shit. They're planning to strengthen abortion laws in Scotland, and it got passed pretty much unanimously. I clicked all the speeches, but John Mason was one that gave a speech. I mean, there's 4 parts to those. So obviously, don't know if I can play all of them, but I could play. His one's not very long, but maybe I should.
The thing I did notice and see that the ones you put together is they kept mentioning free speech and the right to protest. And their whole argument is basically, I'm for free speech, and I'm for protests, and it's the fucking the standard lefty kind of definition of free speech, or protest.
Free speech for fucking me, but not for you.
Exactly. So I'm for protests, but see if they get too noisy round an abortion clinic, that's when it gets too far. And you're like, shut up. No, the whole point of a protest is getting your voice out there, making sure people hear it, trying to convince people. But even the whole premise of their argument is false. Like the lads that are outside those, like Sandyford, they're not screaming and shouting at people that are getting in and out. They've even held signs like "Come and talk to me." Like, so that they're not shaming people for getting in that, and that's the way they try and message it. Like, some poor woman that's been raped by her uncle is going in for an abortion, and this man's screaming at them, and it's all a way of getting the public on side, the retarded fucking SNP activists on side. It's again false. It's the same argument as they were abusing school children. No, they weren't. Like, they were racially abusing brown kids, as if everyone's just like on Twitter saying those kids are packies. Like, no, they're not. That's not the reality. That isn't what happened. But it makes it sound better, and they can sell their message easier to the
That video
people that
you
aren't
put up
curious
the other
enough.
week, no chance, was I binge watched. I've been working, so I binge watched all of the uploads. That video with them fucking fat land whales shouting at a baby, fascist baby, that's made me angrier than a lot of videos in a long. That was absolutely shocking. He's standing there holding his baby, and at the end of it, she does like this little weird vicious point at the baby. A baby, for fuck's sake.
I don't know if I cut that out or not, but I did. Initially, I meant to point out that weird fucking aggressive point.
No,
towards the
yeah,
baby.
you had it in the video, yeah. He said,
Oh,
look at
did I?
that
Right,
finger
okay.
point at the end.
It was bizarre. You're like, why are you aggressively pointing at a baby for just being there? And the crime that the baby committed is being the child of a man that believes that men can't be women and women can't be men. You know, that's fascism today.
I want to speak in support of this resolution. Let me be absolutely crystal clear. I believe that women have the right to choose when and if they have children.
Pause.
Abortion.
Pause.
In that case, keep your fucking legs shut then.
Exactly. And this is my problem with the whole pro-abortion side, is the rhetoric they use as if like, that's the only way to prevent a pregnancy, is abortion. Like, women can't choose any other way. They can't choose their partner. They can't choose whether they wrap it or not. They can't choose whether they're on the multiple different birth controls available. Like, they can choose, and that was, in my opinion, the kind of downfall of civilization, where there was this mass birth control because women could just it basically forced more women into the workforce, which then crippled wages along with mass immigration. And you always see the same people that talk about abortion and women picking and choosing. They would always say, my mum and dad or my grandparents, they used to be able to go in and out of a job whenever they wanted. They could support a family on one wage. But feminism and immigration for the win, you're like, how can you not see that these are the fucking problems?
Do you know what annoys me about all this as well? I'm sort of feeling it myself now. You feel like if you've got an opinion on this kind of thing, you feel like you're being misogynistic, and it's not the case. It's like we're not allowed to have an opinion on any of this.
Aye. And that's intentional. Like, it's the whole, like, you'll try and point out an issue with immigration, and you always need to preface it with, I'm not racist, but I'm not misogynist, but like, the fact that they've managed to cram that into like an abortion debate, like, listen, I'm not misogynist, but I think killing babies is wrong. Like, how do those two things fucking correlate?
Abortion is legal in Scotland. It has been legal since 1967, before I was born, and I'm 50 next year. Abortions are simply not new.
Wait, mate, can you rewind that 5 seconds? Watch see the sign language woman when she talks about abortion. She points at her belly and like shrugs.
Not new.
Go back again.
Abortions
Go back.
are simply not new in Scotland, and I'm 50 next year. Abortions are simply not new.
Even sign language knows abortion is wrong. She points at the belly and shrugs as if like, fuck it.
Abortion are simply not.
Oh, mate, that's
Even the
fucking
deaf know it's
comedy.
wrong.
It's very harsh comedy, but it's comedy.
Fucking hell. Oh, fuck it. I want to play this as well, but this was from Bonnie Lad. Yeah, he posted this channel. This will probably be the last thing I'll share tonight.
I meant to say to you, DJ, though, see when you were doing that video on the big head, the sturgeon big head. See in YouTube, see if you're on a video, see if you push the full stop on your keyboard, it goes frame by frame instead of you trying to figure out like seconds here and there. So.
I wish I'd known that because fucking I don't know why her head looks that big, mate. I don't know if it's just the hair or no way.
But for future reference, you can go frame by frame if you want to highlight something.
I'm going to do that next time, like, or I might even do a better take. But I don't know if you have seen this one from Bonnie Lad, but this is a doozy. It's African BAMEs, Scottish BAMEs, sorry. African BAMEs, Freudian slip for all the right reasons, I guess.
African BAMEs. Oh, fucking hell, look at him. Look at him with his hands out, asking for help, as per usual.
You all right, DJ?
DJ's been suicided.
What happened?
Wait, what happened? Like, what? Did you not see what I was playing?
No, you got muted.
Nothing played our side, mate.
Oh shit! Oh, my bad. Fuck! I'll do it again. I'll share it a different way. Fucking hell!
You just had Al Jolson with his hands.
Al Jolson. Mammy.
We Africans in Scotland to help create that society in Scotland that we want to live in and we want our great-grandchildren to live in. That means advancing social and inclusion policies.
Promote human rights and help create a Scotland we all want to live in. Eradicate racism and intolerance.
And assist making our communities better and more prosperous.
As African Scots, it's important we get involved for the campaign of an independent Scotland.
Now is the time. Join Alba Party on anywhere you can find it. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can look under this very video. You'll find the contact there. Let's celebrate Africans. Let's celebrate Africans everywhere, and let's come together as Africans.
Important we.
How is that any different for like furries where they go, as a human cat? You're not a fucking human cat. You're not an African Scot.
We support the freedom.
Oh, I can't
eradicate the racism. There is so many opportunities you have. Like,
how is that really different from the tranny shit? You just go, and as like me just standing there at the camera going, and as a woman, like, it's no different.
Exactly. And the fact that they've got so many advantages just being like non-white, and when you look at the full, I think I commented this, I don't know if YouTube nuked it or not on one of your videos, but the whole conference that they had was basically fuck straight white men bad, because they kept talking about every single minority group, whether it be women, gays, BAMEs. And you're like, what's the only group remaining? It is straight white men.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but to have all these Africans and Pakistanis and all sorts standing up talking about oppression, you're like, you have no fucking idea what you're talking about. And the fact, like, I know I pointed this out in the video I done the other day, but like Hamza Yusuf and Anna Sarwar complaining about how white everything is in a white country, to then claim that it's racism for the same white people in the white country to notice a demographic change in a primary school in Glasgow. Like, the more absurd thing is complaining about white people in a white country than the massive overrepresentation. And the school even said themselves, it's like 95% non-white. So like, it's more acceptable and realistic to complain about that than it is white people in Scotland.
Hey, listen to this, lads. Funny anecdote, because his accent just reminded me. I've had to sign on literally twice in my life. Once I was in between jobs and I had another job starting in like 3 months. So I needed the dough. Paid into the system all my life. Went to the job centre and there was this full-on, Dishon African fella who was giving me my little evaluation. And he ended up saying, "You are not entitled to anything." And I literally had to help him with the computer because he couldn't fucking work it. I thought, who are you to be telling me this, you fucking thing? Oh, it angered me so much. You are not entitled to anything, sorry.
Okay.
You do not know the way.
Right, boys, thank you for that. No, because I'm fucking, I'm a wee bit tired, like, and that thing.
BJ, mate, you put in a fucking shift today watching all that, lads. You fucking hell, you deserve an award. Heavy.
Yeah. So I'm just going to go down the panel. If you've got anything to show, that be my guest. Start with you, Mr. Saxon. Well, there's 2 Saxons, but Saxon with the cherries.
Yeah, no, I'm doing out this week. Probably be busy again. The first thing I'll probably be doing will be the news roundup on Friday with Bonnie Lad at 7 o'clock. So, well, like I say, he hasn't. It depends on what his shifts are like. Do you know what I mean? So, the last few weeks he's been able to do one. Sometimes he can't, and then failing that, it'll probably be Saturday night, 8 o'clock, usual place, Bonnie Lad's channel. I will be doing some more stuff in a bit. It's just that like I say, it's just, well, first of all, I've been busy. And second of all, when I've been sort of packing in when I'd normally do a bit, I've just thought, I just can't be fucking bothered. It's just the same shit every day. So I thought,
it is.
Just stating the obvious.
I know. Fucking tell me about it, could you? I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. I'll have to do this all over again with a conference. Like, Toffee, you got anything to show, Gudgy?
Yeah, I've got as I'm sure you have all noticed, I've got a bit of a bug for the streaming now. So if anyone can have me on, I'll be made up to come on. I love all this.
Wears you down eventually, like. It really does.
Well, I'm going to let you all get on my YouTube channel. I've just uploaded my first video and it's got 3 views. There's that video I sent it to DJ a few weeks ago of my dog scragging his toy round, and DJ just responded, "Chad."
Yeah, you will. It's quite difficult to get fucking views on YouTube now, given the way that the algorithm works. Like, so if somebody's got this link, fire it in the chat, I suppose. Clive, my dear Clive, have you got anything you want to plug about?
Nothing to plug, but I'll just echo Toffee's point, like, fair play, sitting through all that shite. I'll not be able to do kind of any videos. I do plan to kind of punch all your clips that you've compiled, so I'm taking advantage of your suffering. But I'm kind of like, I'm in like Aberdeen and then Cardiff this week, so maybe later on in the week I'll have something to put together. But no, just cheers for having me on, and I'm going to dip out before the backstage thing because I know if we end up chatting afterwards, I will not go to bed and I'll be completely fucked. So cheers for having us on.
No bother, you're welcome anytime anyway, you know that.
I'm not capable of doing links there. The chat, a few people have asked for a link. I don't know. Just type in Toffee and you'll see the Staffy thing.
Tell you what to do, go on the 42's channel, because the stream that you did, because it's in the description. That's for me. I've got nothing really planned pertaining to any videos unless something of relevance is well, I'll be clipping whatever shit gets said at the conference tomorrow. I think it's the last day tomorrow. So yeah, look forward to that. I know I am. But on that note, adios until next Sunday. Presumably I'll be back with the Saxon. And till Scots Armour's back, as I say, this will be where the Sunday streams are. So adios, amigos. And thank you.
Good night, lads. Peace out.
Later on, lads and lasses and goyams.